Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me as always is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo. I think it's the fastest I've ever seen.
It is. It is definitely the fastest. So something sad happened today. Lou Holtz died. A great man, a great motivator and a great job as a coach. So he'll be missed, but people will remember what he did. I mean, he was excellent. So that's sad news, but
he left a legacy because he wrote some books on leadership that are always going to be good books on leadership.
Absolutely. So. And by the way, that's our guest for tonight, Representative Jess Edwards.
Hi. Thanks for having me. This is my third time on your show.
But you weren't at the studio, were you?
The last time I was here, the first time was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been more of a regular guest than just 3 times. A couple of times over at the old studio.
Yeah, I think at both margaritas.
Yeah.
One day it was. This was a while back. It was you had just had eye surgery.
Oh.
And your eyes were like barely open.
Yeah, well, that happens. I had a detached retina, and I had all the blood in the eye. Not very attractive.
Come on TV
it's
under all these lights.
6 o'clock dinner for somebody. We should talk about.
So there's a lot of things we can talk about.
Yeah.
Jess, the first thing I'd like you to do, I'd like to kick this off with letting the viewers know that you are going to be running for vice chair of the state committee, if that is still in order.
That's great.
And why?
Why? I have both observed and benefited from the NHGOP. This is my 10th year as a state rep. And in that process, I've gotten to know that it can play an important role in shaping New Hampshire elections. And we are emerging from anyone that's been following it. You probably actually know more about it than I do, but we are emerging from a rather chaotic period where there was some disputes about the proper way to appoint our leadership, and I think there may be not necessarily hurt feelings, but a need to go back out to the various aspects of the NHGOP community and reconnect with people. So that's a role that I think I would be pretty good at, because after 10 years of being a state rep, I know the folks. I'm from Rockingham County, so I know the folks in Rockingham County pretty well. But I know people that are in the White House. I've never ever asked them for anything other than friendship. I know a couple of congressmen. Again, I've never asked them for anything, but I think trying to get that external support for New Hampshire has probably been a goal since before Steve Stepanek took over as chair.
Yeah.
And the money is the mother's milk of politics, and so the Dems are basically awash in sour milk right now.
Right.
They have, and so the state, the NHGOP has to compete at some level. I don't think that we need to be dollar for dollar with them, but we have to be competitive.
Yeah, it was nice to see that Crockett and Green are no longer in office. And one of the things I just read that Crockett said was
they're
that...
in office until January.
Yeah, they can still cause problems, right? But she said that Trump started the war to make it tougher for her to win.
Yes.
So...
you didn't
that's
get that.
The reason
you
why
didn't get that memo.
That's the reason. No, I didn't. But that's the reason why he did it. Was because he didn't want her to get elected.
She wins the award for perhaps the largest unearned ego ever to think that.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, at least she could say it was to distract from the Epstein file, like all 98% of the other Democrats do.
Exactly.
You know, even though the Epstein files are just destroying liberal elitists left and right, and I was a little sad. We got some. I grew up in Nebraska, so I still have some ties and family and friends in Nebraska. We got two pieces of bad news if you're in Nebraska in this last few days.
Nothing to do with football, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Lou Holtz died, by the way. Bob Kerrey, who was a good senator from Nebraska. He was in Vietnam. I think he did some kind of special forces thing. He was a snake eater kind of guy. Had a very nice military career. Came back to the States. Started a restaurant chain. I think it was called something like Godmothers or Grandmothers or something like that. Made some nice money. Got himself famous for dating Deborah Winger. You know, so and then he became senator, and then from there he went to become the president of the new university in New York, right? So he was having a very nice career, you know, dragging Nebraska's pride with him, and he just got busted big time. He had to start resigning from things because he's caught up in the Epstein file. And I don't know what it's alleged that he did, but apparently he thought the allegations were serious enough that he needed to evaporate from public. So, so that's the political bad news. The military bad news, this is more serious, is that we lost an Army soldier who hailed from the same hometown as I do, Bellevue, Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
He 42 years old. I checked back with my friends and family, and nobody had known him directly. But you know, if once you're a Nebraskan, you're always a Nebraskan. So he was one of the 6 that died.
I was going to say we had about 6, right?
I can't pronounce his name. Tijitson or something like that. Yeah. But
so as far as you running, we've had Scott Maltese on before.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've talked to him.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is there anyone else running that you know of, or?
Well, so the other person running for the New Hampshire vice chair position is a guy named Ken Hilton. Ken Hilton is from Somerset. He's an ardent conservative. We had a 45-minute conversation, and you know, we were basically swapping notes back and forth on things. Oh yeah, I agree with that, and you know, that kind of thing. It was a very fruitful conversation, and at the end of it, basically, you know, we just decided we were going to run. Both of us want to be the vice chair for our own reasons.
Sure.
And he's a good guy. I told him there's no reason for me to want to be negative with them, because what does that benefit? And this is one of my themes, actually. If I get into this position, and you know this better than anyone, JP, we are loosey with the football when it comes to having the primaries destroy our vestiges of party unity, and then in the aftermath of a very contested, heated set of campaigns, then we have to go run for the general in 7 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's hard to pull those people over because you know, they're very loyal to the person they supported in the primary, and maybe it got a little heated at times.
We need a little bit. I apologize. I don't remember his name, but he's been on the show a couple of times. He lost the primary in the congressional race last time around, and then at the Unity breakfast.
It's the next day, Unity breakfast.
Right.
Are you thinking about General Bullock?
No, it might have been Chris Bright. He not only endorsed his opponents, right? But he made a donation. I mean,
Yes.
he really put his money where his mouth is.
Right.
And that's the type of unity we need after
Right.
a primary.
Right.
And I thought that was a very good demonstration of
It
what
was,
we
Chris.
should be doing.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're not very good at coming back together after the primary,
Right.
and we need to get our guys to do that, right?
Right.
And we need to realize that at the end of the day, we're on the same team.
Yeah, I think the MAGA movement is about a 50% kind of thing here in New Hampshire, and I think it went from really limited to growing pretty rapidly because most of us recognize how perilously close we came to losing the nation. And I don't mean to be.
And we're not that far off the ledge. We're moving away from it, but
well, I like the direction we're going now, but we were getting ready to just stumble over
Yep.
the edge.
Mm-hmm.
We had millions of people coming in illegally that were not vetted. Now we have to worry about sleeper cells, but we were saying then to the Biden administration, go read the 9/11 book about controlling immigration, and we just threw that all out. And so, how many sleeper cells are there in the United States? How many would it take to really create a lot of fear and panic? You know, you could do it probably with 20. You know, 20
Well,
lone
20
wolves would do a lot.
20 is all it took for 9/11.
Yeah, well,
right? We
yeah,
had-
I'm talking about lone wolf, separate activities.
Yeah, even-
But
At the
the
same
20
time,
you're
lone
talking about is like one big event.
Right.
Yeah.
The grid could be attacked very easily. We've had somebody on here who actually works very closely with the government on that. He's got
Right.
products that they can put on lines to filter things. He's got all kinds of cool stuff.
Right.
But he said that all you need is 10 trucks, whether you're using a pickup truck or whether one of these guarding kind of guys that
Yeah.
pull around.
Right.
And he said, just hit the grids. You know, you could take the largest cities and hit 10 grids, and it's going to be unbelievable.
It really wouldn't take. We've seen.
May not even take that much.
We've seen the destructive power of a single rented Ryder truck to Oklahoma City.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And you take that type of power, and then you take something very simple that happened not too long after 9/11, and that was the grid shutdown that shut down all of New York City. Do you remember
Yes,
that?
yes.
And it was like
The
for 3
blackouts.
days. That
Yeah,
blackout in New
blackout.
York City, it shut down all the subways. Right? That was a single point of failure. You take these individual single points of failures in some of these major cities, and you take a Ryder truck. I mean, it is not that difficult to imagine
this is
exactly the scenario you're talking about.
This is turning into a how-to.
Yeah, well, that's
Don't
why
do this at home.
I was just kind of like you've got the destructive power of a single person,
Right.
And you've got these single points of
Right.
failures that exist around the country.
Yeah.
And we just.
So it's easier. It's always been easier to destroy than it is to build, which is why you have so many destructive people running around because they feel a sense of accomplishment,
Yeah.
and there are so fewer number of people who are willing to put in the effort to build. So my point on this MAGA movement is, I think in New Hampshire, one of the unifying things that we should be looking at is how much the Democrat Party at the leadership of the party, not the rank and file necessarily, but at the leadership level, are just unserious about the making a better nation. You know, they're looking at the politics of division and trying to find ways.
Alinsky.
Yeah.
Saul Alinsky, exactly.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So part of that is they've identified Trump as the one person they're going to go after, and all attacks are focused on Trump because they say it's easier to destroy an individual than it is to destroy
It's nothing
institutions.
new. They went all the way through the Obama administration blaming Bush.
Oh, sure.
Right?
It's-
I mean,
it's-
that's the.
And they didn't even like Romney.
They've got to they choose. They
if you're not going to like Romney, you're not going to like any of us. Seriously.
They choose somebody, and as soon as Trump is gone, they'll blame Trump for all the shortcomings of the very next administration, and then they'll find someone else, right? Yeah. Because they can't stay on the same person forever, because they tried that with Bush, and they had to find a new one, and they will.
Yeah. So what is your feeling about that then? So you're saying, are 50% of the people in our party MAGA people?
I wouldn't say party. I would say in the state. We have a whole lot of independents.
Right, we do.
And a lot of the independents, when I have door knocked and talked to people, it's I don't want anything to do with the Republicans, because because they're thinking about Congress.
Right.
They say they can't get anything done. They won't do anything. They're not worth my effort, my time.
Yeah.
And then it gets to be a little bit of a conversation to say, well, you realize that New Hampshire has Republicans in the state that are actually working day to day to make the state better. And I name things like, constitutional carry, the educational freedom accounts, the fact that we now are legitimately a no personal income tax state, that we have a governor and an administration that's pro-business friendly, and we have probably the highest per capita income in New Hampshire than the states that surround us, right? To include Massachusetts. So there's a tremendous success story for the NHGOP, and that I believe in, that I've watched develop over the last 10 years. So I know who the heroes are and the leaders. I know Ross Berry, for example, has been a yeoman at getting election reforms in. Term after term after term, we've gotten better at the questions of voter integrity. So I believe I'm in a position to talk to, from the governor to several members of the executive council to, the state reps and to the state senators, because I pretty much know all of them, to try to find a way that we can unify around a certain number of messages, and do it in a way that it's resilient to the postpartum depression of the primaries. If we can hit the primaries as one team, knowing that we've got each other's back, it's my optimistic hope that will help us maintain enough momentum to do well in the Senate, the federal Senate. For example. Johnny Sununu is doing pretty well. He's getting money together. He's got Trump's endorsement. I believe the former governor is endorsing him. I don't know. It could be a family thing. I don't know. And I had an opportunity with several veterans put together by Representative Mike Moffitt to get together at the Marriott today in Concord to talk to Scott Brown.
Yep.
And Scott, rolled in, and I happened to run into him in the parking lot, and not by my car, but physically. And so I said, Senator, what is the proper honorific for you? Is ambassador better?
Yeah, we had him on a show. We didn't know what to do either.
Yeah. So after him downplaying the whole thing, I'm Scott, and I'm a grandparent, and all the good stuff. I said, no, really, I need to know. So he said, senator is higher than an ambassador because senators confirm ambassadors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but ambassadors he went to New Zealand. That's got to be better than going to D.C.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we listened to him do his version of a stump speech for like 20 minutes, and then he took questions. And the thing about Senator Brown that I think is worth mentioning as a positive is that he comes across, and I think it's because he really is, as a genuine person. You know, he's talking to you, not at you.
Yep.
I was watching him as he was taking questions, and he was paying attention and being trying to be, you know, on point and address the questions. And so it's we've got, the good news is we've got two guys that could go down to D.C. and be better than anyone we're sending to D.C. these days, right?
Yeah.
And the Senate has so much work it has to do to pass the key parts of the Trump agenda, the American agenda, I'll say, because he's made no bones, no secrets about what he wants to do, and I think by and large, the American public is behind him on things like energy dominance. You know, we're only like 3 years away from saying global warming was an existential threat. Right?
Yes.
Look how. I mean, it's almost silly that people are running around talking about an existential threat for global warming. It's something we couldn't even change as humans. And if we could, no one would know for 100 years, which is the perfect thing for a politician to never be held accountable, right?
Exactly.
Right? But when this administration says we're going to achieve energy dominance, you go, okay, yeah, Sarah Palin did the drill baby drill. Okay, I'm glad you picked up on that. We all should pick up on that. And I was thinking like the return of an American Renaissance in the oil fields.
It would be nice.
Oh, but he's doing so much more, right? Venezuela likes to share their oil with us now. You know, it looks like Iran maybe opened a couple of conversations about sharing oil.
So what are you hearing when you're knocking doors and when you're talking to constituents? What are their biggest issues? And I would hope that, and this is very tough to do, that you try to keep it as a state issue rather than them talking about
it's tough,
something you have no control over, right?
Because right away they say, I can't vote for Republicans, there's a $40 trillion debt.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I don't disagree with you. I think both parties in D.C. stink. You know, I've said that for over a decade, and I hope that if that hurts my chances with the NHGOP, it's just, I think it's true. You know, objectively, we have not been good. And I go back to the idea that Democrats throughout the 50s and 60s were the parties of excess federal spending, right?
Yep.
And the Republicans were meant to be the stewards and kept the brakes pumped. And it was when Vice President Cheney came out, I think on a Sunday show, and said something to the effect that the debt no longer matters. He just liberated the Republican Party to be as bad as the Democrat Party, right?
Exactly.
Right, and they took off, and they're off to the races, and we went from like, what, 12 or 13 trillion to 40 in no time. Yeah. So if we want to get back to things that are truly the existential threat, the debt, the federal debt is one of them. But I'm avoiding your question because this is what occupies most of the conversations I have with New Hampshire Republicans, is I'm trying to get them to know,
right,
yeah, but we're different. You know, but we're different. We like the fact, they like the fact that we have been strong on defending gun rights. They like our general policies towards low taxes. Like the fact that we've pushed no sanctuary cities. You know, they like the fact that we have been working with our Medicaid budget to make sure that really only those who are eligible get to use it. We've implemented some of the recommended changes from DC to ask for co-pays for people who have right on the cusp of not even needing Medicaid anymore, sort of.
Right.
We want to go back to establishing a work requirement. We had one before, and the courts decided they were smarter than the legislature.
Yeah.
And we kind of put up with it, but we're making another run at all of that stuff. And I think the work that Henry Lippman does with Medicaid is really outstanding. I mean, he labors where nobody can see him in the shadows of DHHS, but that guy is on top of everything all the time. It's really pretty great. So we do have successes.
Yeah, even with the budget in the state, you had to do some tough things to.
So if these folks, if they say to you, "Hey, I can't vote for a Republican because of their spending habits, because of the debt and whatnot,"
Right.
Who are they voting for? Are they voting for Democrats because they're patently worse than Republicans, especially on the talking points, because they openly say, we want to tax you, we want a state income tax,
like
we want.
Zelensky just did that.
Openly saying that they want to make you spend more money.
No, Zelensky.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Now that I have a hearing problem, my conversation's a lot more interesting.
But the Democrats have always been very open about spend more money, more money, more money, more money, more money.
Yeah.
So when someone says to you, "Well, I can't vote for Republicans because of the debt,"
what do they do?
What is their alternative?
Okay, I'm not a political scientist at that level, but I think I've read some polls and taken away some really big things. The key to Trump's victory in 2024 was apparently finding the apathetic, rarely voting Republicans and have them come out to vote. And so the question, or the answer to your question, I think, is that if they weren't voting for Republicans, a whole lot of them just didn't bother voting. Kind of a shrug of the shoulders going, it doesn't matter how I vote because those bastards are going to be, wasting money and doing the endless wars and doing all the stuff that we generally, I think, New Hampshire Republicans sit around the table and go, no, we really don't want endless wars. We really don't want to blow the budget out. The one thing people don't understand about New Hampshire's budget system, I was on the finance committee for the last 3 budgets, and the thing that I think is really attractive about New Hampshire is we have a separate independent House Ways and Means Committee whose job it is to look at our revenue streams. There's like 17 or 18 of them now, and project how much money is going to come in the next 2 years. And then they give us a dollar number to finance, and finance can't spend a penny more than what the revenue estimate is. Now, this is really a good policy, right? You can't spend more than you got.
Makes sense.
Most people know that. Most people who aren't, going through their credit cards like they're nothing know this. But for the local property taxes, which is such a hot topic these days, we do it completely backwards, literally completely backwards. Sometime in February and March, we go through all the warrant articles and we spend all the money, and then by law, whatever money is going to be spent, the revenue structure has to be adjusted to take all the money required to fund the spending. So it's sort of like going to a great restaurant and just saying, go eat whatever you want and we'll worry about the bill later. It's not a good system, and it's broken. And so I think everyone who touches the New Hampshire property tax system can agree that it's broken, but then the solutions, what are the solutions?
So I've been talking with other representatives about how to fix this out of control spending at the town level.
Yeah.
And there were a couple ideas, but you just hit on one. At the state level, the finance committee is given a budget.
Right.
They're given a number.
Yes.
Number, yeah.
And then they build their budget within that number.
Yes.
Is there something that we can do at the state level to make that a law for the towns? Like the towns, when you develop your budget, you start with a number and you stay within the number. It's similar to a tax cap, but it's not a tax cap. It's a monetary cap. This is how much money you have. Don't spend more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can enforce that at the state level, why can't we enforce it at the town level?
Well, we could.
Can we?
I don't know.
Is there something that we can write?
What I don't know yet, because I've only done this 10 years, is I don't know how to take the property tax system that is a core part of New Hampshire's political and local culture, and then from the state level, flip it inside out. And it would be that's a really great question. I would want to go talk to people like, Ken Weiler, that's been the chair of our finance committee for years. I'd want to go reach out to Karen Umberger, who was great on the finance committee for a long time, and she's now been in the back in the community. She may have some new ideas. I don't know. I wish there was.
And the weirdest
answer.
thing is, every time you can look at you can look at a lot of posts, and they'll say our taxes are. They'll say our taxes or property taxes are too high, Governor. Why don't you do something about it?
Right.
And you've got to do it on a local level. We can do it on that level.
But we can control how the towns govern themselves, because we have two types of towns in this state, right? We have SB2 towns, and then we have traditional
town meeting towns.
Right? So and the rules under which these towns operate are governed by the town meeting structure or the SB2 structure, which was put in place at the state level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Now, then, once the SB2 structure was put in place, then individual towns had to vote themselves into that structure.
Right.
Right?
We couldn't do it. They wouldn't vote for it.
Right?
Yeah,
Your
you're
town
right.
wouldn't do that.
Nope.
But the fact is, you had a structure in place, and then you had the towns vote to be within that structure.
Right.
So if we created a Senate Bill XYZ town that has to operate under these budget operating conditions,
that would be interesting.
and then you put it out to the towns, hey, if you were to become this type of a town, if you were to vote as a town to become this type of a town, then you would have a revenue amount that your budget committee would have to stay within, and that includes the schools budgets would have to stay within this town's budget. So we could create the structure just like the Senate Bill 2 structure and put it out there, and we could start getting towns to vote themselves into that, and there would be a number of towns that would do that in the same manner.
Yeah.
See, we're
brainstorming right here, live on TV.
That's right.
To fix the town tax issue and the school budget issues.
And one of the issues we have is that our population in my town is an older population. And we don't always get to town meetings. We can't sit there for 10 hours. And the only way you can get anything done is they vote on it at your town meeting.
Right.
Where the SB2, you vote on it after the SB2 decides what you're going to do.
Right. Yeah.
And you have a regular election day like the rest of the state. And
but we still have towns like mine who.
So there is precedence to create a structure under which a town is supposed to operate.
Sure.
We could think about that for next session, huh?
Yeah, give me something to work on.
Because you have nothing else to do.
Anyway, I derailed us with.
No, it was a good conversation, and I think this is something that Republicans tend to be better at than Democrats, because we are willing to listen to individual ideas and let the brainstorming occur and get the thinking going. And by and large, there's not a lot of independent thinking on display in the other party. You know, you basically
It's status quo and money is all they're interested in.
Yeah, well, and there's just a few hot issues for them that only 20% of the public supports, and they still just keep running into that brick wall.
Yep.
And I hope they continue to run into that brick wall through November.
Through the midterms.
Yeah,
Yesterday was a good sign with the other states. You know, with some of the stuff we have some rhinos who were primaried and they're gone. So we're going to have some real conservatives running for their seats now.
Yeah.
And we've got some Democrats that were primaried that are really bad Democrats, and you know, maybe their replacements might be better. I mean, it's a little bit too much to hope for. But.
Well, the guy in Texas who beat Crockett, he might be marginally better than Crockett, but that's a low bar. And I am convinced that
Al Green's
gone,
and I'm convinced that Cornyn or Paxton in Texas is going to win still. So even if they made improvement in the margins, it's okay, because I think Texas is going to still be red come November. I didn't really look at the North Carolina results, because North Carolina had some elections too. But
I guess what I was saying was that we saw some patently bad people get primaried,
right.
And so we know that MAGA is still out there, and hopefully that translates into the rest of the primaries.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I could give credit to MAGA for beating Crockett. I don't want to touch that one.
Yeah, but I can give credit to MAGA for beating Crenshaw, who turned out to be a rhino, right?
Did he? I didn't follow him well enough.
He was going down the rhino path quite heavily. But anyway, yesterday gave me some hope that the
people are still
traditional
paying attention.
The traditional midterm losses might not be as bad as we think they're going to be.
I don't think they will be. So one of the things that happens, because we haven't controlled the media, the Democrats in the media complex, to me, is as big a threat as the military-industrial complex, the Democrat media complex. They have started the drumbeat that the Republicans are going to lose in a landslide, and because we always showing, the person who won in the previous presidential election always loses in the, but the thing is, Trump has never been just another guy. I do think that his economic policies and deregulation and the tax checks that are going to be reimbursement checks that are going to be coming in. I think this Iranian thing, I was asked how long it would last, and my guess when it got started was I thought it'd be over in like 2 to 3 weeks. Now,
what are we? We're about a week.
We're less than a week.
4 or 5 days.
We're less than a week. But let's say it's 4 weeks. That still leaves considerable amount of time for people to go back to their life, file their taxes, get their tax checks, start to see the effects of lower gas prices so they can take family vacations and the like. The average wage is going up faster than the current rate of inflation, so there's a marginal improvement in people's ability to support a better quality of life. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm kind of quietly optimistic that Ellison, who just basically bought CNN.
I was going to say that. Larry Ellison just bought CNN's parent company, and they're freaking out.
I'm not looking for a Newsmax from CNN. I'm not looking for that. We got Newsmax. It
would be nice to be balanced again.
But if they would just quit lying, if they would just quit doing The View and spewing that hate and lies straight into the consciousness of the country, if they would just stop some of the insanity. Who said it? They're crazy. I don't know who said that.
These people are crazy.
That sounds familiar.
And that's what we're kind of running up to. And like Don Lemon.
Oh, jeez.
God bless Don Lemon. And I say that kind of in a Southern way.
Bless his heart.
Bless his heart. Right? But okay, all of us are journalists these days, right? Yeah. That Nick Shirley, what made him a journalist, right? He showed up and started asking questions with a camera.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah. He is actually a better journalist than Don Lemon because he broke a major story.
Absolutely.
And Don Lemon, what did he do? He broke into a church.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for quite a while because like you said, every one of these media outlets is just outright lying. It's not. They're not pushing a narrative. They're outright lying.
Yeah.
In order to create stories that fit their own narrative.
Right.
Right.
And they bear the stories that conflict with their narrative.
I've said it for years on this show that all you need is one. All you need is one. Any one of you lying journalists on CNN or ABC, MSNBC, any one of you lying journalists who knows you're lying, if you just went out there and told the truth, you'd win the Pulitzer.
No, not the Pulitzer. They'd have to make up a new award.
Right?
The Pulitzer's gone.
But you would be a hero to the world if you just started telling the truth outside of what your manager is telling you to do.
So I'll nominate her right now, Cheryl Atkinson. From CBS, I don't know if you remember Cheryl Atkinson. Mm-hmm. She was really very good like 5 years ago, and she wanted to do some real reporting. I don't know what the issue was. It may have been around the Hunter laptop, something, and they fired her.
Right.
Yeah. You're doing too much truth telling.
Yeah.
And then the other one who would be in competition for that, I think, would be this woman that's from New Hampshire, Liz Reagan. Liz Reagan? No, Reagan. Something Reagan. Anyways, so I think there are because conservatives have had to like pop up, where the big-footed media isn't, mm-hmm. and there's an audience out there that once they get to be aware of them, pull them out, like, Don Bongino.
Oh, yeah.
Dan
Bongino.
Yeah, he's now a mafia guy. So it's Don Bongino. But Dan, he had the number one podcast when he went to go give up his money to go work for the FBI for a while.
Yep.
And he'll get his audience right back and more so.
He's already got it back.
Yeah. So. So we just need to keep encouraging the truth.
Yeah.
Because these guys making a name for themselves, they're not doing it lying. Joe Rogan isn't doing it. He can't sit there for 2-3 hours and lie, right? And people pick up on that.
So it's like this fella. It was either NBC or CBS over in Austin. He was covering a pro-Iranian rally the other day.
Yeah.
He got a text.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see it? He got a text. He was live. He got a text, and the cameraman handed him a phone, and he looked at it, and he says, "What does this mean?" And he says, "They want you not to focus on this."
Oh,
and he turns around, and he says, "Well, I'm focusing on it."
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And that was the clip that went viral.
Right.
Right? He got from his news manager to not focus on that, but he said, "No, I'm doing it anyway."
All he needed to do is say, "We're mad as hell and we're not taking it anymore."
Right? and so he did that.
Yeah.
Well, that was the clip that went viral, and everybody loved that. But he also went across the street and he he did a story on the other side.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? He did both. And that's really what makes him the good journalist, is that he actually covered both of these protests.
Right.
And when that went viral, we had a whole bunch of the liberal fact checkers fact-checking him, saying, well, it's not really, he wasn't really doing the conservatives a favor. Because he did both sides of the story. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're fact-checking us, but that's exactly what makes him a hero, is that he did both sides of the story, even though you didn't want him to.
So a good
so that puts him on my list as a good reporter.
So a good example of what the media can emphasize and what they can de-emphasize is there's a story floating out of this 30-year-old woman. I forget which state she was in, but she was a mother of 5.
Shut up, Siri.
This is supposed to be
she was murdered viciously. I don't know that there's any other way to murder anyone but viciously. But she was murdered viciously by an illegal immigrant who had 30 prior convictions. And he kept getting let out. Now, okay, so coming back to the media point, that story hasn't been covered in any of the major media.
Nope.
The way that story is getting around is around the edges,
right.
Through social media, through Twitter. The Dems were all upset that Elon Musk decided to make Twitter an honest and objective place. I don't think I don't think it went to the right the way it was going to the left. It's just have at it, talk. And
that's exactly what it needed to be, and that's why they were upset that he bought it. And that's exactly what's going to happen with all of the media outlets that Larry Ellison just bought.
I hope.
It's going to be
fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be fair. I mean, we have been in a drought for so long that a little bit of water is going to taste like something great. So just give us a little bit of truth, a little bit of balance. Now. Okay, so because I said fair and balanced.
It actually has been happening kind of naturally. I mean, recently. Recently, there's been more and more stories coming out of outlets like CNN that are more balanced. It's happening. And when I say recently, I mean in the last 2 months, maybe. Right? We're starting to see it happen. And hopefully that's the turn we need.
Yeah. So it's time. It's time for some fair and balance. And I wish Fox was better. Fox? The Democrats keep saying Fox is like this cult-producing machine.
It's not.
I watch the business news because I like keeping track of the business, and then I touch some of their shows in the evening, and I was really disappointed that in the last 2-3 weeks, the first 20 minutes of every show and every hour was dedicated to the tragic loss of a journalist's mom, the one in New Mexico.
She's on Good Morning America.
Oh, Guthrie. So that's Tucson, Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's horrible news. You feel for the family, but when a news decision is made to cover that wall to wall for the first 20 minutes of every show for 2 or 3 weeks, something's just not right. They've lost their focus on what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be finding news stories. What was going on in those last 2 weeks? Well, we were trying to recover in Venezuela from that shock and awe campaign. There's this whole pressure movement on Cuba that people probably ought to be tracking and
I don't think people understand what's going on in Ecuador either. Right?
Well, that just started today.
I mean, there's there's a lot of news that, like you said,
doesn't make it.
Right? They choose the news stories.
Yes.
They choose them for particular reasons. Whatever those reasons are, I don't know, but it's whatever narrative they want. And obviously that news story has impact on media, so it's kind of a self-serving
Right.
situation, right?
Right.
If this ever happens to me, I want the world, focused on it forever and ever.
Yeah.
So, not to derail it, we don't have too much time left, but you
Yes.
spent a lot of time in the Middle East, in the Army?
Yeah, I was stationed in 2008 in Afghanistan.
Yeah, so you spent a lot of time in that area of the world,
Yeah.
and you've already made your prediction about just a few weeks, hopefully, and we're done with this
Right.
campaign. What do you what do you feel? Well, you've made that prediction. What should be our goals, right? Are we into nation building again, or we should be letting the former, the Shahs from the 70s?
No,
right?
I'm not into Shah restoration.
I'm sure it's not into, but they were banished when the Ayatollahs,
Mullahs, yeah.
the Ayatollahs come in. How do you believe we should approach this? Because you were involved in some of that goodwill, nation building type relationship stuff. How do you envision this going?
So I was screaming while deployed to my friends and family that we were doing it completely ass backwards. We were trying to take a U.S. federalist system and trying to create provinces that were secular subordinates to the federal government in Kabul, and we were trying to do this top-down democracy thing, and it just didn't fit their culture. What would have worked, I think, is if we had CIA and captains walking around tribes, with bags of money, because all we really needed to do in Afghanistan was to keep them from using it as a domestic terrorist training base to project terrorism overseas. So instead of trying to change the culture, had we just taken a look at what was in our national interest, is stop killing us from Afghanistan, we could have gotten that done with tiny amount of money relative to what we spent and very few boots on the ground. We could have kept some Air Force there for quick strikes, just to show air dominance, but we did that wrong. So no, we know how to do it badly. So what does the right way look like? What I think, as I read between the lines, is I think they're going to let chaos of this social mob that just said they wanted freedom to form and start forming logically into some kind of community groups.
Let them self-organize.
Bottoms up. Go, do it.
Because,
you will no longer get shot and raped if you protest. Instead of protesting, go do something.
Right. Very few people younger than us remember what Iran looked like 47, 48
Persia.
years.
It was Persian.
Right?
Yeah.
Where
beautiful women.
Women didn't have to wear the headdress, and that it wasn't a depressed society that it is now. It was oppressed society that it is now.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking to return to, whether it's the Shahs or not.
I think we're wanting them to find out who they want to be. If they
Are we going to have a similar problem as we've had with the others, with Iraq and Afghanistan, with the multiple tribes that just don't get along to begin with?
Maybe. But rather than us being on the ground trying to sort it out, let them sort it out. We actually do democracy fairly well in the United States. It's chaos, but it works, right? Politics is better than civil war, and once they kill each other a little bit, they'll probably realize, maybe politics is better than civil war, and they begin to develop a healthy society out of the self-interest of themselves and their kids and all the reasons that we have a peaceful society here, So that's what I think.
All right. You had something else, I think. I kind of derailed it.
It's gone. You know how that happens.
What's next up in the State House?
Well, we have a session tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've got another 40 bills to vote out. We're closing in on crossover. That's where all the House bills have to be decided, and the ones that passed we send over to the Senate, and then the Senate gives us ours. So
you killing some bad ones?
Oh yeah. Oh, and you know what is going to be fun is if the Democrats bring that Volinsky $1 billion income tax down.
Oh.
He was on the steps of some place today talking about how all we need is $1 billion income tax, and everything will be great. So
we can encourage that, I think.
Yeah, no, I encourage him to be more active.
Did he run for office saying to his constituents that he was going to implement a $1 billion tax?
He's a former, right?
Yes.
What's he a former? He did something and he lost, and he could never win again.
Oh. I want to say governor. Yeah, he ran for governor.
Yeah, he's a really strong socialist. He might have a nice little Marxist pronoun.
Oh my God!
All right.
So.
All right. Any guesses on who's going to announce that they want to be the next Ayatollah? I think we've eliminated 5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
Who's got the cojones to announce that they're in control?
I think I'd rather go back to finance before becoming the Ayatollah.
All right.
Thanks,
that's
Jess.
it. Do we know what's going on next week?
We don't yet.
All right. All right. As always, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club right here in Manchester, New Hampshire, the oldest sports shooting club in New Hampshire at 1732 Lakeshore Road. We have an open membership. We don't have a waiting list like other firearms clubs in the state. We have a monthly membership meeting on the first Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. That's 3 minutes from now at 1732 Lakeshore Road right here in Manchester. Everyone is welcome to come and join. Check us out. I'll be there quite a little bit late. Our next training is March 14th. It's Defensive Handgun Level 2. It's a defensive mindset firearms course. On March 14th, you can sign up at wilsonhillpistol.org. If you're watching online, you can see that address at the bottom of your screen. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much for coming again, Jess.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.